Hello, hello, and welcome to Staying in My Lane podcast. It has been one of those weeks. The week where everything seems to kind of just go wrong, personally, professionally, emotionally. It's like life just tried to knock you down, and before you know it, you're flat on your back, wondering if it's even worth getting up. But here I am. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to be knocked down. And if I've learned anything throughout this week, it's never compromise your integrity and always stand in your truth. When the pressure is on, when things are falling apart, that's when people show you exactly who they are. Some will throw you under the bus to save themselves. They're quick to lie, deflect, and protect an image instead of speaking truth. And especially when it's people that you've trusted or that you have in your life as somebody that you associate with or are friends with, that can be really hard to accept that they have thrown you under the bus. However, I've realized that that says more about them than it ever will about you, even if other people don't see it right away. That lack of integrity, that lack of character, it's everywhere. Some people walk around wearing masks so long they forget what their own face looks like, and they can lie without blinking. They can manipulate without having any expression, and they never take that accountability, which if you listened to last week's episode, it was all about accountability. And ironically, that's kind of what I've had to deal with this week. I have been in a situation, which I'm not going to get much detail into, but I have basically had to gather evidence to prove that I am telling the truth, which in reality, I should never have to go as far as gathering evidence or documentation to prove my innocence in a situation or prove my truth in a situation when there's nothing to back the claims up. But that's besides the point. I luckily document everything and I keep a hold of everything to cover myself. So for me, that was pretty easy to gather the documentation and prove that I was telling the truth. And I'm not specifically talking about a professional setting. This can apply to anything: professional, personal, family, friends, anything in any part of your life. However, superiors who throw you under the bus to cover their own mistakes, leaders who are not leading but just surviving, or family members who look at you through a lens of their own projections and never take the time to understand who you are as a person. These are all situations that can cause a lot of stress and strain and anxiety in your own life and cause you to kind of second guess yourself. These situations can cause you to start questioning everything. You wonder, who can I trust? What's real? Am I the problem? I have even asked myself that question. But I am not the problem in this situation. And there are people out there who will smile to your face but gossip behind your back like it's a sport. Again, that says more about who they are as a person than it does you. Being popular or having a large group of friends is not a flex. Having a small circle, doing the right thing even if you're standing alone, that is the real flex. Not gossiping, not lying, not having to constantly dig deeper holes to cover up lies. And eventually that catches up with you. Sometimes these hurtful rumors, gossip, accusations come from people closest to you. For example, family members who twist the truth, who rewrite history, and who cannot apologize without turning themselves into the victim. Often we want to believe that blood means something. That family should stand by you, not gaslight you or make you feel like you are the problem for setting boundaries. Let me be clear, that family is more than just DNA. It's who shows up for you when you need them. It's who holds your name with respect even when you're not in the room. And if someone, relative or not, constantly takes and never gives, constantly blames and never owns, that's not love, that's narcissism. And we have discussed narcissism on the podcast before. So if you want to go back and listen to that, go take a listen. Sometimes it's hard to let go of these people because we feel that guilt or that hesitation to remove them from our lives. And we've talked about all of this on different episodes. It just seems like I have been tested a lot more in the past week than I have in a long time. And it has reminded me to let go of people who never saw me for who I truly was. Family members who look at me through that lens of their own projections, like I talked about, who don't get to know who I am. That means letting go of constantly being misunderstood by coworkers, by friends, by family, whoever. Letting go of having to explain yourself over and over only to be met with blank stares, silence, or eye rolls. Letting go of being judged by people who have never had the courage to even come up and talk to you. People who have never gotten to know you but have no problem or hesitation talking about you behind your back and spreading lies and rumors and gossip just because they have an assumption or an opinion about you that is untrue. This week has really reminded me to keep my distance, protect my peace, and remind myself that my worth is not tied to or connected to anyone's approval. And here's the deeper truth. I've been sitting with this all week. Betrayal, setback, painful lessons, all of those have a purpose. Because in the quiet, in the broken pieces, I've felt something greater calling me, a higher power, a higher spiritual power, reminding me that in this life, this pain is not without meaning. I have moved up spiritually. I am not the same person I was last year, last month, or even last week, honestly, but growth is not always graceful. It's real and it's happening, and there's a higher purpose for me in this world. I may not know exactly where it's leading me, but I trust this process, and I trust that there is a divine alignment at work. Even in this mess, even in this chaos. I think this is a really good reminder for not just me, but for my listeners. We are not going to shrink ourselves for the comfort of other people. And when we stop playing along with their games and start choosing our truth over performance, people get uncomfortable. Let them. Because I'm done pretending, I'm done playing small, I'm done filtering my voice to make other people feel safe in their illusions. And that's why I've started this podcast. That's why I'm starting a Patreon. It's raw, it's real, it's where I will be sharing my life behind the curtain, the parts that people love to speculate about but never ask me directly. No masks, no filters, just me. I believe in telling the truth. I believe even telling the truth when it's uncomfortable, but especially when it's uncomfortable, because that's where growth happens. My podcast, me as a person, I've never been someone who wants attention. I've been someone who wants to change the world. It's about integrity and my character, and in a world where so many people will trade their integrity for likes and promotions, fake friendships, or fitting in, I won't. I won't, and I can't. Even when it feels like people are coming for me, especially after this week, I refuse to live by society's script. I won't bend, I won't break, because I know who I am, and I know my purpose is bigger than what this people-pleasing world and this world full of gossip and bullshit. People who've never had good intentions to begin with, I have a higher purpose. If me telling the truth, if me bringing up uncomfortable topics, if me exposing things that need to be talked about causes problems, then get ready for a lot more problems, because I'm not going anywhere. Let this be the season where we stop asking for permission to be who we are, speaking our truth, protecting our peace, and never trading our soul for comfort. While people keep talking, I'm going to continue to hold my head high, keep my integrity strong, and let people reveal who they are and believe them the first time. And most importantly, don't let anyone's darkness dim your light. We can be called for higher reasons than what we can ever imagine. We can make positive change, but it's never going to be easy. I am at a place in my life where I am becoming my higher self and standing firm in who I am. I am shedding layers. I am letting go of people who no longer serve me, and knowing that they came into my life for a season and a reason. I'm letting go of who the world has told me I should be, and I'm stepping fully into who I was meant to become. Your higher self is not some distant, perfect version of you living in the future that you haven't reached. It's actually you. And what I've realized is that beneath the noise, beneath the fear, beneath the conditioning and what we are told to think, how we are told to feel, the version of you that sees with clarity, speaks with purpose, and loves without condition, that is who you actually are. And once we tap into that higher self, we make decisions that are rooted in integrity, not impulse. When we choose truth over approval, when we listen not just to reply, but to understand, especially within ourselves, that is stepping into the version of ourselves that requires something bold and strong. It requires presence and trust, and above all, it requires the courage to stand firm, even when the world tries to shake you or bring you down. Let's be real, the pressure to shrink is everywhere. The quieter you are, the more agreeable you are, the more normal you are. But I want this podcast episode to be a reminder that you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out authentically, unapologetically, and wholeheartedly. Standing firm in who we are means saying no when your spirit says no. Even if your mouth wants to say yes, it means owning your voice when it trembles, honoring your boundaries even when it makes others uncomfortable. When you anchor yourself into that truth, you don't need validation. And that's something that I've had to take a long time to learn. I don't need permission. You become magnetic, not because you're trying to be, but because the truth always resonates. I want to talk about something before I end this episode that keeps so many of us so small and magnifies the need for approval. From a young age, we are taught to perform. Get the gold star, the pat on the back, the round of applause. We learn to measure our worth by how many people say good job, how many likes we're getting on social media. And slowly, we start saying yes to things that we don't even want. Yes to the careers that we don't love. Saying yes to the relationships that drain us. Saying yes to the silence when we should speak. Why? Because society rewards the agreeable, the polished, the predictable. But here's the truth. Every time that we say yes to something that betrays who we are saying no to our higher self. Approval is addictive, but it's also exhausting. Approval is a moving target that never truly satisfies because it's external, and what's external can always be taken away. Saying yes to society often means saying no to your soul. It's time that we flip the script and really look at how we can better ourselves. And that's what this whole podcast is all about. What if we stopped asking, do they like me? And started asking, do I like who I've become when I'm around them? What if the goal is not to be accepted, but what if the goal is to be authentic? Approval feels good, but alignment feels right. And when we're rooted in alignment, we stop chasing the applause, the likes, and we start attracting respect and integrity. When we stop seeking permission and start owning our power, that's when we start living. And moving to a higher spirituality or sense of purpose is not about memorizing the scriptures or appearing more enlightened than the next person. It's not about how many crystals you own, how much you sage your house, how long you meditate, or how perfect your rituals look. It's about how aligned you are with the divine self within yourself. It's about presence, purity of intention, and integrity of your heart. Moving to a higher spirituality means you are stepping outside and you stop outsourcing your worth and start embodying your soul. You are no longer just practicing spirituality. You are the practice and you are the presence. And that's what makes the whole thing beautiful, is that once you step into that, you are what you say you are. And your practices, the way you live your life, aligns with your spirit. You are no longer living for anyone else. You are living for you. You are not living for others' approval, expectations, making them comfortable. You are not to play the role they cast you in. You are living for you. And that's not selfish, that's sacred. Most of us were born to be people pleasers. to avoid conflict, to say yes even when our whole body says no. We were taught that love is earned through sacrifice, that acceptance requires performance, and that fitting in is survival. But we don't owe anyone that version of ourselves that they created in their mind. And we don't have to keep shrinking ourselves to fit into the box that society puts us into. Say yes to what feels right in your spirit, even if no one claps for you. Say no to what drains you, even if others don't understand. Honor your truth, even if your voice shakes. And walk away, even when it's hard, because your peace is your priority. It's about choosing the alignment over attachment. You are the author of your own life. You are not a character in someone else's story. And these are the lessons that I have really reflected on this week. These are the lessons that I wanted to share, and there's a lot more to come. My podcast is not going anywhere. My Patreon is just starting. I have not even released it yet. So there's a lot more coming, and I have a higher purpose, and we all do. This podcast is all about the uncomfortable truth, talking about things that we don't talk about, and becoming better versions of ourselves. I am here, and you are not alone. Let this be the season where you stop asking for permission to be who you are. Speak your truth, protect your peace, and never, ever trade your soul for comfort. Have a good week, and I will see you later.